Welcome everybody to Sit Down and Heal with Coach Derek, and we are live on TikTok, and the replay will be put on YouTube, so those details will follow. My name is Coach Derek, and I am your certified healing journey coach and your certified relationship coach, and I am here to help you heal so that you can be a better version of yourself on the other side of it. And that doesn't mean that there's an end to the healing. That just means you have the tools to keep you going. So what I do here at Relationship Gumbo Coaching is we have three main ingredients to your personal relationship gumbo. That is healing, growing, and evolving. Once you get to the evolve stage, then that means you on autopilot. Your boundaries are intact. You know how to maneuver out there. Even if you backslide, you got tools to help you proceed. So without further ado, we're going to talk about, I know there's a lot of topics on TikTok, probably millions about narcissists, but I'm going to tell you how I'm going to frame it tonight for my show. It's going to be a little different. So we're not going to talk about narcissists with a T because there's going to be some therapists on here. It's glitchy. Does anybody else have glitches before I keep going? I need confirmation on the glitches before I keep going. Okay, I'm going to keep going. So, we're not going to talk about narcissists, right? Because I know that there are psychologists, psychiatrists, whatever, therapists, they're going to be like, no, if they're not diagnosed, we're not talking about that tonight specifically for you guys. We're going to talk about narcissistic traits, narcissistic tendencies, which don't necessarily have to be diagnosed to exist. This is what most of us deal with, right? Because somebody will say there's a small percentage of diagnosed narcissists. Yes, you're correct. We're not talking about them. So let's go. So tonight, we're not going to talk about the evil villain, the narcissist, and what they've done to you and how they, manipulate you and all of that. There's tons of that here. What we're going to do is we're going to gain a higher level understanding of the why, because here we talk about the why and the how so that we can understand the foundation of it so that we can learn from it and grow from it and what? Evolve. So a lot of times the reason why this topic comes up a lot is because a lot of times people don't understand why. This is the terms that a lot of you use. Why I attract narcissists. Why do they always find me? Why do I always end up with a narcissist, right? And there's a special bond. I hate to use that word. There's something that binds the two that on its surface you would think that it would never happen, right? Because we look at the narcissist as this evil person and we look at the empath as this innocent person that just feels things, right? So we're like, why would these two people end up together? Like, it wouldn't make sense. Like, why do I keep staying with these type of people that keep hurting me? And then here's another one. It has another one. And how do I keep meeting these and not the other kind? What's going on? Well, there's a reason for this. So we're going to talk, that's the tone tonight, is we're going to talk about why this happens so much, so widely, and all the time. To good people, to people who even feel like they have boundaries, it's still not prepared. They're still not prepared for what happens when you meet this other type of person, right? So I have a couple of bullet points because I could do this one all night, but I'm not. So let's talk about this. This next part is something that I learned not that long ago. Maybe a few years ago. I didn't get it until I got it. So I'm going to explain the tone of the show tonight is we're not going to get too technical. We're going to speak in layman's terms, and we're going to talk about real life experience so that it all gels together for you. So no matter who you are, you're going to catch it tonight, okay? So let's begin. So we have to think about, in very, very, very basic terms, the biggest difference between a narcissist and an empath, right? Narcissists have zero to no empathy. The empathy is on steroids, right? So now think about this. Think about this as a thread that goes across the screen. On one side is the narcissist. On the other side is the empath. They're two ends of the same thread. Okay, follow me. The empath abandons the need to really kind of care about ourselves. We put our energy into others. We get validated by what we do for others, right? Notice I said we. A narcissist is about self, and they abandon that caring and that need for others. It's two sides to the same thread. Now, a healthier way to live would be to be somewhere in the middle where you care about others, but you also have that thing where you have needs to care and do things for yourself, right? So to the extreme, the narcissist is like, yeah, the empathy thing's not really for me. And the empath is like, I just want to help. I just want to make it right. I want to fix it. I'm going to stay longer and love harder, and maybe they'll turn around so that we don't have to leave each other, right? Now pause, right? So now you're still thinking, if they're polar opposites of the same thread, why the hell do they keep finding each other, and not just finding each other, but being in long-term relationships and marriages that last for years? How could this be possible? You would think that the empath would notice that this person is selfish and they would just run, right? So we're going to talk about why. So let's take a little breath. We're going to talk about why this happens and why it's so attractive, even though it shouldn't be. So, and make sure, guys who are listening, make sure you share and tap. I need the taps. If you do nothing else, just tap, because y'all going to get a lot of information tonight. This should be a workshop too. But I'm giving it to you for the free 99. So we're going to parse this out so that we understand what is the attraction. And I'm speaking slowly for a reason. I don't want y'all to miss this. What is the attraction that an empath has to a narcissist? We're going to break it down like a fraction. What is the attraction that an empath have to a narcissist? Well, here it is. If an empath abandons their need to really give a damn about themselves because they want to help everybody, and you put you last on the plate, you're attracted to someone who has the trait that you threw away. I need for y'all to sit on it for a second. We're going to get there, sweet tea. I know it's a special place. Just let me, as the kids say, let me cook. So think about this. The narcissist has that one piece of you that you threw away in service of others. So it's subconsciously attractive to you to put the puzzle together. I need for y'all to follow this journey. So now I'm initially attracted to, subconsciously, the other piece of the puzzle that I'm missing. Also, as an empath, I have a need to see the best in you because I feel you. I feel your energy. I feel your pains. I feel your joy. And I want you to be okay. I need to help you. I need to help fix any issues you have. And I abandon my need for self-preservation. I abandon my need for boundaries in service of you. This is our programming. Because it's supposed to build deeper connections. It's supposed to, if I help someone, make them a better person because of me. I did that. So now, when I find someone who validates me, pay attention. When I find someone who validates me, validates the part of me that I have abandoned. Remember, I've abandoned my need to basically look out for myself because I want to help so much. Well, what do you think happens when someone, i.e., the narcissistic trait person, gives you extreme amounts of validation to the part of you that you threw away? It feels like a drug because you don't even pay enough attention to yourself, but they are. So the initial adrenaline rush, and this is why the love bombing works so well, is they are catering to that part of yourself that needs validation that you didn't even realize until you feel it. Right? Yes, it's dopamine. It feels amazing for somebody to focus on you because you don't. Right? I'm going slow for a reason. So when that dopamine high hits, all of the standards and boundaries that you wrote in your journal don't mean a damn because it feels good to be seen. Because most empaths, most introverts, most people who like to fix people, we like to stay in the background. We like to help you, but we don't need the notoriety for it. You get to get seen by the narcissist. You get to feel amazing by the narcissist, right? We're going to talk about why they attract to you too. You get to be seen by somebody that you are building a strong like for or even a love for, right? And this is why a lot of times you'll hear people who tend to be, in the psychology, they call it highly sensitive person, who have this high sensitivities. They'll be the ones that say, I fall in love fast. I attach to people too quickly because there's a part of you that is used to not being seen that is hungry for it, right? And if you get coached by me, we'll find out where that comes from, right? Because a lot of time it comes from childhood, right? But that's another show. When you feel that dopamine high from the attention, and it's not always gifts, it could be attention, it could be emotional stuff that you share between them. It feels amazing. This also could be considered, and we'll talk about this later, a little bit later, it could be considered a trauma bond, right? So now we're going to flip it. Why would the narcissist be so attracted to an empathic person, to a nurturer, right? And empaths aren't just nurturers. We love you long time. We love real deep because we feel everything. So that love is going to be a little extra. The narcissist, who is about self with no empathy, and they have these manipulative tactics, they need someone that even when they're not showing up their best, that will instantly forgive them. That you will give them a pass on bad behavior because you have to fix me. They need you. We just on the first layer of the onion, y'all. We gonna go down. So just wait for it. So while the empath is getting what they claim, what they feel like they need, the narcissist is doubling down on the fact that you're so high. So now let me paint a picture for you visual learners. If you've ever watched TV, had a family member or seen somebody that's on drugs, pay attention to where I'm going with this. Somebody that's high, right? They're not quite themselves, but they think you can't see it, right? When the empath is high, the narcissist is uniquely qualified to see that you're high. And that's when they are fully aware that you are a person that can be manipulated, because when you get high, your cognitive ability and your logic are very numb. They need someone to hoist them up on a pedestal because they're a narcissist. Who better to do that than someone who needs to fix people? Someone who needs to see the best in you. Forgiveness is on autopilot. We just gonna give it to you because if we keep loving you, maybe you'll change. Right? So, if the narcissist needs the empath and the empath gets high off of the narcissist, when they meet, it's like a nuclear explosion of happiness. And oh my God, I found my person. They get me. Forget these boundaries. I need this person. Yeah, it's not everything that I wanted, but I can fix it. The narcissist is like, I get to feel like a damn king or a queen, and I don't even really have to do a lot. Because they're going to over-love me and over-nurture me anyway because it's part of their programming. I see that they're high. Look at what they're allowing me to do, and I didn't even ask for it. Oh my God, I need this. This would be called the narcissistic supply. You have now turned it to something that supplies a person who has an excessive need of needing to be hoisted up, needing to be right. This is why every time they meet, they almost always end up at least trying a relationship, and sometimes they end up in it because all of the back and forth that eventually happens, once you're in it for a while, now it becomes normalized. And this is what we say. We've invested so much time, we have to make it work. Let's breathe. We've been here so long, and I know they have these bad traits, but I can fix it because it's in our programming. If we keep fixing, eventually it'll work, right? So the narcissist says, well, I'm getting all of this supply, but they seem like they starting to catch on a little bit. So now we're going to make them the problem so they can keep fixing, right? Because the way that this works is that when the narcissist hurts you, your immediate programming is to fix. It's not to walk away. It's to fix. They know this. You will fix before you advocate for yourself. You will feel the pain, and in order for you to relieve the pain, you have to fix it. Not we fix it. I got to fix it. Because they don't know any better, right? I got to fix it by myself. Let me love harder. Let me do some of the things the person like and see if let's go on a vacation. So now pause. Let's breathe again. So now remember I said earlier, the empath may have something in their childhood that have created them into being this nurturing person that has created them to feel more, right? The narcissist also has his or her own childhood wounds that may have created these traits. So both people, pay attention, on either side of the thread we talked about, is looking for that inner child to be fulfilled. One we call evil and one we call innocent. But it's two children looking to be fulfilled on the inside of the adult. And sometimes the empath, even in our infinite wisdom about how we feel and the energies that are around us and all of these things, sometimes we help people for ourselves to feel better. We will call ourselves selfless. We will say that we're doing it to make sure that they're okay. But that little kid in you is very selfish. I need to feel validation for me through them. So if you have this need, and they are looking for you and they have their own need, the trauma bond feels like heaven. This is the trick. It feels amazing. This is the time when your vetting process and your boundaries should kick in. But they don't. Why is this, Coach Derek? Because that thing that's in you that is hungry and greedy for it don't give a damn about your boundaries. I need to feel better. That is your programming. We're going to talk about how you break out of this later, right? So now, there is a unique bond created because they are both sides of the same coin. And if you're just coming in for the first time, my name is Coach Derek. I am your certified healing journey coach and relationship coach. And we're talking about empaths and narcissists and how and why they end up almost always being together. You very rarely find a narcissist with a person that stands on their boundaries. It doesn't happen often. They have to find you in a state where you're willing to be all the things they need. So let's go a little deeper, right? So these two people get together. And maybe somewhere down the line, the narcissist shows, the mask comes off. Now, the mask has to come off because no human can wear a mask forever. The mask has to stay on long enough to get your emotional attachment so that when the mask comes off, you're uniquely designed to fix me. You're uniquely designed to nurture me, to see the best in me, to remember everything that happened when the mask was on, and that becomes a part of your programming now. We got to get back to that. Just like a drug addict, you're trying to get the original high, but it never really comes back. But you will chase the hell out of it in service of the relationship that you've invested so much time in. You've sacrificed the things that are supposed to keep you strong enough to leave. Self-esteem, self-worth, self-love, because they have to be happy. They get all of this. They also get control of it because you gave it to them freely. They shouldn't be responsible for your self-esteem, should they? Loving yourself, all of these, they supposed to be responsible. Here you go. I just want you to be happy. Take it all. When you are so deficient of these things, it's impossible to leave. So you're going to deal with all of the stuff that comes along with being with a narcissist. It becomes your life. And every attempt that you trying to fix it hurts even more. So all of those things just keep getting broken down. So the benefit to that for a narcissist is my supply never ends. So it's a cost benefit now. You're not going anywhere. Why would you? Because you have to fix. You have to nurture. It's who you are. And a lot of you will say, well, that's just who I am. And it's okay. It's a superpower for us. We just have to learn that everybody can't get it. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So now we're talking about this trauma bond that builds. And it feels like a drug on both sides. It's not just the empath that's high. The narcissist is also high because they found a supply of their own personal drug, which is you. Right? So now, as we peel back the onion, you've now connected to this trauma bond, right? And you've bought into all of the whatever it took to get you emotionally attached. See, a narcissist, as long as they see progression of your emotional attachment, they'll run that play as long as they need to. They're watching your boundaries slip away quickly. right? It's the ugly trick. The empath boundaries are so weak that it doesn't take long because we love so hard. We want to see the best in you. So the path to me getting you emotionally attached isn't a difficult one. So throughout that time, again, to the point of beginning the show, just to reiterate, they are appealing to the part of you that is very often unseen. Why is that part of you unseen? Because most of us empaths, introverts, fixers, nurturers do not require reciprocity. You abandon the notion and they feed it. It's not that they're feeding it for themselves. I need for you to pay attention to this. Please pay attention. They're not feeding it because they want to feed it for you. They are feeding it for all of the people that ignored you before you met them. Please hear me when I say this. All of the times that you didn't have a voice, all of the people that didn't see all of the effort that you put into, they are serving that person. So you don't just get high because the narcissist bought you a purse. You get high because someone is actually seeing you. And when you feel seen, you know what you become? More vulnerable. You tell more, you share more, you connect more. Because finally someone sees you. And you didn't have to ask them for it. Pay attention. You didn't have to ask for the reciprocity. You didn't have to ask for the attention because the narcissist is going to give it to you freely. They get me. They know me. How did this person know what I needed? This must be a gift from God. I've been looking for this my whole life. Breathe. So now, when we talk about this, in most cases, unhealthy connection, and we talk about the fact that that narcissist has something in them that's been in there for a long time. The need to serve self above everything else. The lack of empathy. The lack of care. Because caring about you diminishes me. It has to be about me. This comes from a place. You don't come out the womb like this. This comes from a pattern of things that you have seen, have been molded for you through years. And you become this person that gets to the point where self-preservation means pushing someone else down. Why? Because no one did that for you when you were 10, 15. If nobody cares about me, I'm going to put me first. Forget them. And when you get the benefit of meeting an empath and it makes you feel amazing, you're going to always need it. You're going to chase it. You're going to see yourself do things that you thought you would never do, like abuse, manipulate, gaslight, just to make you feel the validation that you are first for a change. And everybody else is secondary. Now pay attention. The trauma, feeding the trauma, becomes priority number one for the narcissist and the empath. I didn't think he was going to say empath too. Yes. Your need to put others before yourself becomes priority number 1. 2, 3, 4, and 5. I don't have to read books about this. And you're going to learn why in a minute. So now think about this. If you didn't learn before today the dynamics of how this works, you will hear and see and feel yourself in what I'm saying if you are one or the other. The traits that I talked about at Empath, you're sitting there shaking your head like, yeah, that's me. And you have a story about being with a narcissist or 2 or 3 or 4 or 7. And you will say to yourself, I just don't know why they keep finding me. I hate the fact that I always end up with them. But there's one place. This reminds me of a movie that a lot of y'all won't know. It's called The Last Dragon. And the his master was like, there's one place that you haven't looked. It's right here. One place. As you're looking externally for the why, there's one place that you haven't looked. Now, there is no victim blaming. There is just understanding on this platform. So I help you understand the psyche of both the villain and the hero. But sometimes those lines are blurred. We just know what pain feels like. So the villain who inflicted the pain is always going to be the bad person that we talk about. But I need for you to understand the psyche so that you understand how to see them. So that you can understand how to create boundaries against it. So think about this. Then I'm going to tell you about something about my personal story that helps me understand this behavior a little bit better than the average person walking the street. So pay attention. Because I've been both. Okay? Not a narcissist, but the traits. And I'm going to tell you why. So y'all need to stay and share and do all the things. So, if you pay attention to the words that I use tonight, I told you what they look for. So this is what I typically get from an empath when I tell them the information that I gave you tonight. Well, that means I have to stop caring and I have to stop nurturing so they won't find me. And I was like, no, because then that means you would be getting rid of one of the most amazing parts of yourself. You cannot be afraid to create boundaries for yourself because then you can date. Let me tell you something. Predatory dating behavior, whether it's a narcissist or they hate boundaries. They hate that you stick to your boundaries. They don't even want no parts of you when you show them that you care about yourself. It's too much work. You don't have to stop caring. You don't have to stop being nurturing, but you do have to start loving yourself enough to say no when it doesn't feel good. You got to care about yourself enough to walk away when you know it's not serving you. When there's no reciprocity, that should be one of your first deal breakers. I'm doing all the work. And I know I'm an empath, so I got to watch that because this is what I normally do. You got to have that chip. I teach you this at Relationship Gumbo Coaching to train you how to unlearn and relearn how you move around as an empath, right? Because we are a special type of people. Our boundaries have to be stronger than most people walking the earth. Has to be. Because we love harder, and in turn, we hurt harder, right? So now we're going to segue into the hurt harder. Let me tell you my story so that you guys can understand. Because a lot of times when I talk about this, they're like, how do you know? How do you sound like you're talking about me? Because I am you, right? I was an empath. Still am. And I did all of the things I talked about, right? I'm a man saying that, right? Because a lot of times, for whatever reason, y'all think all narcissists are men. That's another show. I was that person that was a fixer, a nurturer, highly sensitive. I felt how you feel. I wanted to be present. I wanted to overdo things so that you would love me more. And I always met people that stomped on that. It was cute in the beginning, but that ain't really what they wanted. And they let me know. Yo, Derek, it's too much. Or they would cheat. Or they would do something to keep muting me down. And I took it. And I stayed. And I ate it. And I tried to overlove to try to make it. I did all the things. And then stomp. The next one, stomp, crush, cheat. Right? And I'm still like, but this is who I am. I just fall in love easy. I'm going to find me another one. And it just, until one day, I had enough. I was emotionally broken. My heart was broken. My spirit was broken. My trauma, the childhood wounds that I teach you here, was on fire. And in order for me to relieve the pain, I had to create a version of myself that lacked empathy. But I was not a narcissist. I'm going to tell you what I became, because I'm still an empath, which means even though I'm preserving myself, I can still feel other people's emotions. So what I was, and there are different titles for this, I became what's called a dark empath. Okay? And a dark empath could have some traits of narcissist and not be a full-blown, because now it's about self-preservation. Okay? So I'll read you a brief definition that I pulled, because I always like to give y'all context. Dark empaths are skilled at expressing empathy in a cognitive way rather than an emotional way. So let me explain. Normally, an empath will feel, and then they'll give you some emotional energy back, right? And that's how I would connect to you emotionally. A dark empath will feel you, but I don't have to give it back, but I understand it here. I know who you are, what you are, and how you move without having to give it back. So I can move with impunity, right? So let me finish the definition, and I'm going to read it again. Dark empaths are skilled at expressing empathy in a cognitive way rather than an emotional way. And the emotional distance they retain while operating equips them with a laser focus to achieve their ends through manipulation, gaslighting, or bullying. Pay attention. Imagine a person who doesn't have to have a lot of information from you, but they can feel you to understand you without even opening their mouth, to understand your movements, to understand what they mean, to understand how you feel, and not have to feel it myself because I'm broken. So now I see you in a way that you would never see me coming, because I was attaching to you emotionally here while you were attaching to me emotionally here. Once I get, remember, the primary goal of all of the predators is emotional attachment. So once I connect with you here and you connect with me here and you dive in here because you see that I get you, I own you. You will do what I say now. Why? Because your boundaries are gone. I need for you, I'm telling you this story because you will encounter people like this every day, and without your boundaries, they will see you getting high. All of this stuff I'm telling you is coming full circle. Yes, sweet tea, it's very dangerous. But remember, that came from a trauma in me. I wasn't born like that. A whole bunch of people had to destroy me in order for me to not care for a while. So when we talk about this topic, I can tell you the reasoning behind both because I embodied both at some point in time. And if I did not have a foundation growing up from my parents or whatever, there was something in me that clicked one day and I said, this is not who you were raised to be. And then I started chasing down the why I'm like this. And that started my healing journey that I now teach you through coaching. The program was designed because if I was able to dig into all of that stuff and reverse engineer it and get to a point of healing and getting to a point where my energy changed and my mind changed and my heart changed into something even 10 billion times better, if I can do it, anybody can do it. So I created a program to help you get through it, no matter what you're dealing with, to give you a foundation of how to do it, because all of our healing journeys are different, but there's a baseline that you need in order for you to have tools to help you along the way. That's my expertise here, right? Even as a relationship coach, I had to transform it and evolve into a healing journey coach, because without the healing, the relationships suck. And I'm going to do a separate live. I might even do a whiteboard. I be seeing all of these coaches do whiteboards in the background. I got one across the room. I'm gonna have to, but I want to teach y'all how this works more plainly. But the primary thing here is lack of boundaries. It's our default programming is to not have them, because if you have boundaries, then you can't help everybody, right? And furthermore, like I always say on this show, you can almost calculate who the empaths are even by just what they do for work. We always gravitate towards fields that help people. It's like I keep telling y'all, it's weird how this works. It's weird how the energy, pay attention, the energy that an empath emits, it makes people feel safe. You'll have strangers wanting to share their life story with you, and you're like, how the hell did they pick me out the group to talk to? That energy is very delicious to a narcissist. I was sitting at Starbucks one day, right? I lied to you not. I'm in there. I got my little drink, got my laptop. I'm doing my thing in there. And this lady comes and sits beside me, like right here. And she's like, how you doing? She had to be about 70. How you doing? I'm like, I'm good. How are you? Good morning. How you doing? And she was like, let me just tell you that I've been divorced for like 10 years and my daughter is this and she's acting up and doing. And I was like, how the hell did she pick me out the whole crowd to know that I would be the ear that would listen and have a dialogue with her? It's something. Everybody feel comfortable telling you all their stuff. But here's the plot twist. They don't never offer you that same ear. Remember, Go Talented Tim, reciprocity. You don't get it back. But you be the one they come to with all their stuff, right? I know I'm preaching to the choir because I know I attract a lot of people like me here, right? We don't get it back, and guess what? We'll tell ourselves we don't want it, right? Pay attention to how I'm going to bring this full circle. We will convince ourselves that we don't need the reciprocity as long as we're there for them, right? So if I'm always doing this, I'm not being seen, which is now attractive to the narcissist who is always going to see you in the beginning. Remember. Y'all like how I did that? So the only primary way To counteract narcissistic traits is to stand on the stuff that you say you're not going to do. Because first priority is to test your boundaries. Your boundaries are tested on the first phone call, on the first date. So let me give y'all a little secret here. Narcissist and any other predatory dater, let me tell you what skill that they have honed, and it is not manipulation. It is not lying. It is the ability to pay attention to your nonverbal cues. Why? Because most of communication is nonverbal. They are experts at watching your mannerisms and when your voice changes and the things that you laugh at, which then will give them the ability to know what areas to push you in and put you in so that when they do test your boundaries, you're least likely to counteract it. When something doesn't feel right, there should be an alarm that goes off that says no. There's no level of manipulation that can counteract your no. But you won't do the no because all of your mannerisms says I'm open and available for you to have my nurturing and my caring and my overdoing. Please come get some. See, here at Relationship Gumbo Coaching, there's a whole workshop on nonverbal cues, setting structure, voice inflections, word choices, and how they paint a character profile for a person. I teach you all the tricks, guys. It sounds like a lot, but they're very simple cues that you can tell if somebody feels a certain way. So imagine if you think that just you talking to them, they're just getting what you're telling them, you are wholly wrong. See, even if I was trained in nonverbal cues and listening to how your voice moves up and down like a rhythm, I still can't fight your no when it don't feel right. I don't have a game plan. So here's the plot twist. Who, I'm going to say this real slow, who is more likely to have less boundaries so that I don't have to sift through? People with trauma that is unresolved, unchecked, or unknown. When you are walking around with unchecked trauma, you will attach to people that you probably have no business attaching to because it's the little girl inside you picking them and not the adult version of you that thinks they know what they're doing. Remember, if you remember back in the show, your making the trauma feel better is priority number one. Above the boundaries, above the standards, and above the deal breakers. So that little kid that needs to be served is slapping the hell out of the adult version of you and saying, no, I'm going to pick. This is why we do shadow work here, so that you understand who that little boy and that little girl is, so you can tell them that I got it now. We gonna soothe you a little bit, but we can't keep picking these. No, we're not picking the same person because the trauma's still the same. Y'all ain't listening tonight. I swear y'all ain't listening to me. If you don't realize who that little kid is, that little kid's going to run your life forever. Most of us don't even know they're there. Because I always tell you, your patterns tell your story. Your nonverbal communication tells the story. Who you sit with for years. When it don't even align with, I can tell who's picking for you. But you can't. Because trauma. Doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you an unaware person. And it's okay to be unaware, but it's not okay that if you hear my voice tonight and you hear all this information and you still keep doing the same thing, because now you have better information. So now you're not allowed to use it as an excuse. Well, I love hard, so that's why I keep meeting them and staying with. No, too late. You didn't already listen tonight. Now, if you don't know how to move after you get the information, that's what I do. So here is the as we start to close. We said that word boundaries a lot. But let me tell you what's the most important thing about creating healthy boundaries. You're going to have to know who you are first. And the only way to know who you are is to understand why you do what you do. So in coaching, we help you chase down the trail of whys so that we can get to the nucleus and the foundation of why you behave the way you do, so that we can fix it from the bottom up. So then when you get to the top, you then have the ability to create boundaries about this new, realized, self-aware person of yourself. And you have really, at this point, through coaching or whatever, however you do it, you will have achieved a place that is more peaceful than you've ever been. And when you go outside, the narcissist, the player, the whatever it is, ain't got a fighting chance against your no, because you will not relinquish that peace for anyone, because you work so hard for it. And even if you slip, you give yourself compassion and you go back to the tools I gave you, and you keep dealing with life in a way that is more healthy, because you know what it feels like to have that peace. And if you look at the show, last week's show, because y'all going to click the link in the bio and click the link to get to the YouTube. Last week's show with Boogie, she told you what she went through her healing journey and dealing with the workshops and everything. You can see a couple of my last 2 posts that she's in. I would say 8 out of 10 of my clients fit what I talked about tonight. You see the comments. People that took the workshops, they show up and they talk about it because lives have been changed. Because see, here's the thing. If you live your life and you've had your stumbles and your falls and your pains and your hurts, and you stay too long for 20 years, and then you sit off to the side for a few years, I think I'm ready to date again. There's no new habits being created. There is no new substantial information going in that brain. So you're only yielding to the same understanding that you've had your whole life that has not served you. So you really didn't heal. You just got stagnant. But you have to tell everybody that you're working on yourself so they'll leave you alone. I'm here to help you not be a liar anymore. Yeah, I said it. We don't have to lie no more. The help is here. So if you need my help, you can inbox me, or you can go to the link in the bio, and you can literally start taking the workshops now. Because again, like I said on the clip from last week, I don't have to convince you that you need to heal. You do. And when you do, I'm right here with the information, the tools, the tips, and the steps. It's as simple as that. I'm not going to force you, but I'm never going to abandon you. I need for you to hear that. Once you get into my coaching, I do not abandon you because I care. And there's not one client that could ever say that they don't have access to contact me about anything. They choose not to sometimes because they got what they need. The testimonies are on the website. Everything you need is there. I'm an engineer, so I designed it from the ground up. So I made it real easy for you to interact with it. The buttons and the links are big as hell. So even if you take your glasses off, you can still see it. I thought about all of you. You don't even need readers for this. Yeah, in the comments, Tanya's talking about the community. The Sit Down and Heal coaching community is a part of relationship gumbo coaching where it's free. And all you have to do is click on the link for the community and then go in there and create a small profile. And the biggest thing that we do in there, which is going to start back up next week because I got been through a lot over the past month or whatever. So we're going to start back with the free Zoom Q&As, which kind of serves double duty. It's free to get in there. You just need to create the little profile. So because there's an internal DM system in my site where you can message me quicker there. So you need a profile to do that. And so people who even get to the point where they could create this little simple profile, it's still a barrier for entry because most of you won't do it. I'm hoping that you do, but most of you won't even click the link in the bio. Why? Because it's work, right? So people who really want it would at least create the profile, come in, get the free Zoom where you can ask questions about relationships or whatever you want to ask. You get the coach to answer your questions. This is not the coaching. This is just for you to get to know if I really qualify to help you. And then the people who are taking the coaching, it acts as an accountability for you to come to every week and share what you're going through if you need to. And some people just come in there and sit and listen to everybody else and they grab what they need to get. This is what I call my office hours, which means if you show up and you don't ask anything and nobody else does, it might last 5 minutes or it might last 2 hours. It's for you. So let me think before we leave. Those of you who demand one-on-ones, you may not get it. But if you do, there's a form you fill out so I can qualify you. Because some of y'all don't even need the one-on-one. You just need me to direct you to what workshops to get. Some of y'all don't need any of it. You could just go to my site and say, I need to heal. Let me go ahead and start the healing track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just go down. Everything's priced a la carte for you. And there's payment options just in case you need to break the payment. Wait, I be getting a little. I try to remove all the excuses. But again, I can't want it more than you do. So there is a one-on-one option, but it's only one time. I don't do sessions across weeks because my workshops are that good. That one-on-one session, you get your first workshop in there, and you get the opportunity to tell me all the stuff you want to talk about, and then I will develop a plan for you of how you need to maneuver through the workshops. But you'll be able to get off whatever you need to get off because some of y'all, that's all y'all want. So go ahead. There's a price for that because I got to worry about me. Y'all want to. Some of y'all just, I know I need to heal because X, Y, Z, and I'll be like, cool. Okay, so this is what you need to get to your goal. Take these 3 workshops, and then we'll reconvene after that. Most of y'all just need that. You think you need the one-on-one, but you don't. Not here. See, you get a relationship coach, a healing journey coach, and an engineer. I have a system that you go through that operates even when I'm sleeping. Y'all could be like, oh, I need the healing thing. It's 2 a.m. It's still there. No one-on-one. Let me tell you another factoid before I leave. Most of my clients have never had a one-on-one session. All of the testimonies that you see on my site, they haven't had a one-on-one. They got qualified in the inbox because I'm fast. Where we trying to get to? 30K. Give me the 30K before I leave, y'all, real quick. Y'all been sitting here this long. You might as well tap. Do something. All right, we got 1 more K to go. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. Sit down and hear with Coach Derek is every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we do this. We learn, we breathe, but I implore you to understand that this is not coaching. You will get an epiphany. Sometimes you get a revelation. Maybe you get triggered, but this is not the coaching because coaching requires you to change habits, and habits do not change overnight. There are a set of tools. There are a lot of things that you're going to need in your arsenal, and you cannot get them by simply coming to Alive. You do not have the tools. The reason why I know why is because you never used them before. So come get some. Y'all have an amazing rest of your night. I'm out of here. The website has everything you could ever want, but you got to push it. Those who want it will show up, and they have. Let me go ahead and give the people their flowers right now. There's been several people this week that have pulled the trigger and they are ready to go, and they were like, I need it and I need it now, and they doing what they got to do. Those are the people that are going to get through and get to the side of one of the three ingredients in the personal gumbo, which is heal, grow, and evolve. Once you get to the evolve stage, which is where Tanya B in the comments is, then it's on autopilot because you got the tools. But some people, a lot of us, it's scary to start. But here's the beauty as I close for real this time. You don't have to heal by yourself anymore.